Ilara had grown up on the ranch, but she had never been allowed near the real, messy, painful work. Her father always said she was too young or not ready, and Mason Holt, the rancher who managed everything, usually agreed. But that morning, everything changed. A young calf had panicked, crashed through a thorn patch, and torn its leg open on a sharp branch. Blood spotted the dirt and the calf cried out in fear. All the experienced ranch hands were away on a long cattle drive. Only Ilara and Mason were left to handle the situation. Mason opened the medical kit with steady hands, but his eyes showed worry. "Ilara," he said, "I need you to hold the calf. I can't stitch a moving target." Her heart thumped. She'd never even held a wounded animal before. The calf kicked weakly, its sides heaving. Ilara knelt beside it, hands trembling before she even touched it. When her fingers brushed the warm, injured leg, she gasped at how the calf jerked. It was stronger than she expected. Pain radiated through her arms as it struggled, and she whispered, "It hurts." "This is my first time doing something like this." For a moment, Mason froze. Not because he doubted her, but because he knew exactly how she felt. He'd been young once too, terrified of hurting an animal while trying to save it. He knelt beside her and said, "I know, but it'll be over quick. Just stay with me." Ilara swallowed hard, nodded, and tightened her grip. The calf kicked again, but she held firm this time, anchoring it against the ground. Sweat gathered on her forehead as Mason quickly cleaned the wound. The smell of antiseptic stung her nose. Each time the needle pierced the skin, the calf twitched, sending a jolt of pain through Ilara's arms. She wanted to let go, every muscle begged her to, but Mason's calm voice kept her grounded. "You're doing good. Just a little more." Minutes felt like hours, but finally Mason tied the last knot and bandaged the leg. The calf stopped fighting, exhausted but safe. Ilara let go and sat back, her arms shaking violently. She looked at her hands, stained with dirt and a little blood, realizing she had crossed a line into a world she'd never entered before. Mason stood watching her with a quiet respect he had never shown her before. She had stepped up when no one else was there, and something in her, something strong, had awakened. 2 days after Ilara had helped stitch the calf, the ranch was hit by one of the worst storms of the season. Dark clouds rolled over the plains, swallowing the sun, and within minutes the wind roared like a beast clawing at the barns. Thunder cracked overhead, rattling every wooden beam. The horses sensed the storm before it even arrived, and by the time the rain slammed down, the stable was filled with panicked snorts, hooves scraping against the floor, and the sharp metallic clang of horses kicking their gates. Mason ran from stall to stall trying to calm them, but one stallion, Brimstone, the youngest and strongest, reared so violently that he snapped his halter rope. His shoulder slammed against a hidden nail jutting out from the wall, and a streak of red appeared instantly. Ilara saw the injury and froze. The horse was wild with fear, eyes rolling, nostrils flaring, hooves striking the ground in frantic rhythms. Mason grabbed the dangling reins, but Brimstone was too strong, jerking him sideways. "Ilara, I need your help," he shouted over the thunder. She hesitated at the stall entrance. The memory of the calf's frantic kicks flashed through her mind. Her ribs still ached from when she had been knocked into the hay bale earlier, that day trying to feed the anxious horses. Now the stallion seemed 10 times stronger and 20 times more dangerous. But she stepped inside anyway. The moment she approached, the stallion thrashed and swung his body. She tried to steady him, but his head jerked unexpectedly and the reins whipped across her knuckles. She stumbled back, hitting her shoulder on the wooden frame. Pain shot down her side and she gasped. "It hurts!" This is my first time handling a horse this strong. Mason didn't let go of the reins, though the storm outside made the entire barn shake. Rain hammered the roof like fists. Lightning flashed white against the stalls, and the air smelled of wet hay and fear. "I know," Mason said, keeping his voice steady, "but it'll be over quick. I just need you to stand by his neck and keep him facing forward." Ilara took a breath, stepped forward again, and put her hand on Brimstone's trembling neck. He reared once more, but she held on this time, grounding him with her presence. Mason worked fast, cleaning and wrapping the wound as the storm howled around them. When they finally stepped out of the stall, drenched in sweat and rain, Brimstone was calm again, and Ilara realized she hadn't run from fear. She'd walked straight through it. By the end of the week, the ranch had grown quiet again, but the quiet was uneasy. Tracks had been spotted near the northern pastures, deep prints in the mud, spaced in a way that only one creature made. A wolf had been prowling close to the herds. Mason usually handled such things alone, but tonight he saddled his horse and looked at Ilara. "Ride with me," he said simply. She hesitated. Night riding had always unsettled her. The plains turned into a different world in the dark, shadows stretching like living things, wind curling through the grass with eerie voices. The sky so big and empty it made her feel small. Still, she mounted her horse and followed Mason into the fading light. As twilight melted into full darkness, the moon rose, casting silver across the land. They rode through the quiet fields, the horse's hooves soft against the damp earth. Mason scanned the ridge ahead while Ilara tried to steady her nerves. Every small rustle made her heart jump. Halfway up the hill, Mason raised a hand for her to stop. They both dismounted silently. At first, Ilara heard nothing, then soft, frightened whimpers. They edged forward through the tall grass until the source came into view. Two small wolf pups tangled in a loop of barbed wire left behind by an old fence repair. Their fur was matted, and each movement made them yelp in pain. A few feet away, their mother paced anxiously, her glowing eyes fixed on the trapped pups. She didn't attack, but her low growls made it clear she was desperate. Ilara's breath caught. "What do we do?" Mason handed her a pair of wire cutters. "We help them. I'll keep the mother back. You free the pups." Her hands trembled as she knelt beside the pups. Their fear made them twist and pull, scraping her arms with tiny claws. The barbed wire was tight, cutting into their fur. Ilara winced as the sharp metal pricked her fingers. "It hurts. This is my first time doing something like this," she whispered, barely loud enough for Mason to hear. He didn't turn around, but kept his voice steady. "I know, but it'll be over quick. Keep going." Ilara focused on the wire, ignoring the sting of scratches and the pounding of her heart. With a final snap, the barbed loop loosened. The pups scrambled free and rushed to their mother, who paused for a long, silent moment, watching Ilara with an expression she couldn't explain, before disappearing into the night. Ilara stood slowly, arms scraped, legs shaking. But she'd done something brave and unexpected. She wasn't just reacting to danger anymore. She was facing it head-on, and she realized she was becoming someone stronger than she ever thought she could be.